Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk. Welcome to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ progressive news and talk show in the United States on the radio. I am your host, John Parker, professionally queer since 2014. Coming up after us, get ready for the best in progressive news and analysis with the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950 KTNF and Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820. For us today, it is our weekly Thinking Clearly, Thinking Queerly episode, where we sit down with a guest for the majority of the episode to help us think more clearly and more queerly on the major issues of the day facing the queer and allied community. After that, I'll continue my Queer and the Cosmos essay series. My guest today is Hillary Odie. Hillary is the co-founder of Queermunity in Minneapolis. Queermunity is a vibrant event venue, reading from their About Us page, gathering space and cafe in Minneapolis, dedicated to offering high-quality experiences for LGBTQ+ and BIPOC communities and their allies. Queermunity works with and for the people they serve to build a regenerative economy, maintaining a truly affordable space to gather, celebrate, work, and create while supporting local farmers, artists, makers, and small businesses. Queermunity launched last November, and they have programmed their first ever Pride season. And when I saw the list of featured events, I love the intentionality of it all. Like, it didn't just come across as another, like, hey, let's celebrate Pride event list, but rather it feels like an answer to the question of what does community building look like in this particular moment that we are living through. So, Hillary, hello, welcome back to The Gailey Show.
Hi, JP. Thank you for that really kind intro. That was really kind. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, I love you all. There's my bias. I'll just say it right now. There's my journalistic bias. There was a sentence in the announcement that I'd love to read. You wrote, designed to center LGBTQ+ individuals and allies, particularly those often marginalized in mainstream Pride celebrations. The 6-week programming series is expected to serve over 2,500 people here in the Twin Cities. Can we start there with the recognition of and then programming for marginalized folks within mainstream Pride celebrations?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff planned for Pride with TC Pride stuff, bars, restaurants, like everybody kind of wants to get in on it, right? And they're really fun and they're great offerings and there's nothing wrong with it. But there are a lot of folks in the community who might not be able to find exactly what they need or want in those existing offerings. So that's where we kind of tried to not necessarily compete with, all of those great things that are already happening, but see where are the gaps that need to be filled or where are those folks that, want to come together, want to build community, want to celebrate, but maybe those aren't just the right fit for what they need or want. So we have a lot of different things going on this month, and I can't wait to tell you about them all.
Yeah, you do. Well, talk to me through if we can start before we get into the individual events, because I love the way that you're communicating this, but also the way that you're setting up and the way that you're expressing it right now. Can you talk to me about the planning process? Because there are a lot of prides right now and a lot of communities that are thinking through, and we're talking to a lot of them this month from here in the Twin Cities, Marquette, Michigan, other Dallas, folks about how they are planning Chicago, how they're planning their Pride events and what's going on. And I love how you all are going about it, the intentionality of it. So can we talk a little bit about your planning process? Because it doesn't seem like it's a top-down approach.
No, it would not. If I'm the top, that's not going to work. No, it would be like exactly what I want. No, it's not that at all. I mean, a little bit of it is because I wasn't really finding what I wanted elsewhere all the time. So a little bit of it is that, right? And so, and my partner and I, who are also the co-founders, we have different experiences. Like, my wife now, and my kid both have severe hearing loss. So they have a different type of communication need. And there's a lot of neurodiversity in our family. We're a very neurospicy family. So we have a lot of different needs in our family. So we do have kind of an understanding from our family that different people have different needs and different ways of accessing what they need. So from that perspective, maybe it is a bit of a top down of just like trying to take a step back and thinking about how everybody is different in the community and what the different needs are. So we obviously also have an amazing team of now about 15 folks here at Queermunity, and really representative of the community, so able to get feedback from all of them. But we also have, pretty active suggestion box and that I go through all the time. So, and next time you're in Queermunity and you want to leave a suggestion, please do put it in that box. We do read them. And also just very deep and also very wide community partnerships. So working with lots of different folks in the community, from different organizations to artists, creatives, different small businesses, and just really hearing from different folks what they need and want and what they can contribute to. So we've been kind of thinking about it and thinking about this and planning it for quite a while.
Yeah, it shows. And just, for folks who know, those partners include Minnesota Deaf Queers, the Paper Lantern Project, Elevate Twin Cities, Lynn Lake Centers for Wellbeing, Intermix, Grey Duck Collective. I mean, and that's just a partial list of what I'm reading there, which is just amazing. We're talking with Hillary Odie, who is the co-founder of Queermunity in Minneapolis. Queermunity opened last November, and they are launching their first ever Pride season of events. And it's really, I don't even know if it seems kind of reductive of what the work that you're doing here, because it really is building community in a much more intentional and thoughtful way than I mean, we haven't had an organization like Queermunity before here in the Twin Cities. And I think that's even reflected in your space, because your space on Hennepin, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. You're in Hennepin.
Yeah, it's on Hennepin.
For a second there, I'm like, is it on Lindale? No, it's on Hennepin. Where it's such a flexible space in there, how you can just arrange it into so many different configurations. And I feel like even in the work that you're doing, when I'm looking at this list of events, is that you really are adaptive to the various communities within the larger rainbow. And I mean, the first event that you all had on June 1st was a kickoff brunch, which I was like, yes, obviously brunch, but it was Shrek themed.
It was so fun, and it was fun for all ages, really. There were younger folks and older folks there, and it's fun to just like laugh and be silly sometimes, to like not take it so seriously. Yes.
And then you had an ASL and LGBTQ plus deaf culture workshop. That was earlier this week. Walk us through what that event was like.
Well, it was led by Minnesota Deaf Queers, who wanted to share a little bit more insight with the rest of the community about what queer deaf culture here in the Twin Cities is like. They taught some signs, some like specific queer and LGBT and trans signs, like how, what pride and things like that. And we're able to just connect with folks, who wanted to learn a little bit more about that intersectional identity. So that's part of kind of what's informed all of these events, is like, where are all of our intersecting identities? So the Minnesota Deaf Queers bring their queerness, they bring their transness, and they bring their deafness as part of their identity to share with the rest of the community to learn from. So we're really grateful for them.
Do you recall for folks who are on YouTube right now, do you recall the sign for Pride? No, don't worry about it. I'm putting out.
I wasn't ready for a quiz.
No, I'm like, well, we're on YouTube right now. Maybe we could do that. No, it's good. No, you're fine. I totally put you on.
I wasn't ready for the quiz.
So this weekend, you have an event, Brushes and Bubbles Hidden Pride Legacy Paint Class.
Yes. This is going to be so fun. So it's a secret what the painting is. So you've probably heard of like paint and sip, where you go and the teacher shows you the example and then you paint the example. So as the class goes on, you follow the instructor's, instruction. And as the class goes on, the picture is revealed, who is a LGBTQ icon of the past. So the portrait is revealed as you go through the class. And at the end, you have a beautiful portrait of a queer icon.
Now, what are the bubbles?
Either mimosa or an NA spritzer with our house-made syrups, because we have all kinds of delicious house-made syrups here from our cafe. Our chef curates them seasonally. My current favorite is cherry vanilla.
Oh,
So if you come in, you can ask for that. There's also like a lemon yuzu, a mandarin, which is kind of kind of tastes creamsicle-y. There's all kinds of flavors. So NA or A.
For folks new to the show, and also for folks in Chicago, because this episode happened before we came into Chicago, we sat down, had a conversation with Queermunity chef June Day, and really fascinating conversation about how Chef Day created the menu for a queer-centric space. And it wasn't, I was like, well, how did you go? I was thinking of things like, oh, well, you talk to local farmers and da-da-da, but there was a whole queer lens to how Chef Day created that menu. And I really encourage you all to go back and listen to that, because it's I had never talked to someone within culinary, and certainly not a chef, who had been thinking about a menu through a how do I serve specifically majority queer folks. And the two words that I'll just say, comfort food. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. How much we need
to feel good, right?
And I love that, because I started laughing when Chef Day said that, because I was like, I love your grilled cheese.
That is the most popular. Yeah, the grilled cheese and the turkey bestie, which is like a turkey pesto sandwich. I mean, can't go wrong with that, right?
Yum. And folks who have already had lunch, you can go there. Queermunity is open 8 to 8, correct?
That's right, every day.
I have to fit in a break here. We're going to have more with Hillary on the flip side. Check out more progressive news and talk at am950radio.com and heartlandsignal.com. You can follow us on Blue Sky. We're at thegaleyshow.org. You're listening to The Gaily Show right here on AM950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820. Welcome back to The Gaily Show. I am your host, John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour. This is our weekly Thinking Clearly, Thinking Queerly episode, where we sit down with a guest for the episode to take a deep dive into an issue facing the LGBTQ and ally community. We are talking with Hillary Odie, co-founder of Queermunity in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. Hillary, y'all are doing something very special right now. The Council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans are conducting Minnesota's very first ever needs assessment survey, and so we're trying. They're trying to get the word out, and we're trying to also here to help out with getting those survey responses up, as many as possible. It is a confidential and anonymous survey that folks can take online. However, if you're in the Twin Cities, you can come to Queermunity, correct, and do an in-person version, a paper version.
Absolutely. This is, another example of listening to the community. We heard from elders like, I don't QR code, what's that? Right? I'm not super comfortable putting, even if it's confidential and anonymous, my information out there on the internet. So we offered Queermunity as a space to have paper copies, and we have a locked box. You can come in and you can do your survey and put it in the locked box, and we're going to make sure that the council gets all those surveys, but that folks can access it, access a hard copy if that's what makes them more comfortable.
And the last time that we had checked with them, it was just under 5,000 survey responses had been collected. This was towards the end of May. So folks in Minnesota, if you haven't done this yet, You need to do it. I know there's more than 5,000 of us. There's more than 5,000.
There's like 300,000 in the Twin Cities alone.
Exactly. So we need to get that number up as much as possible. So you can head to Queermunity and on Hennepin Avenue. Excellent that you're doing that. There's also accessibility issues, for folks who are like, keyboards or whatever, or screen readers and whatnot. Like, this is an amazing opportunity, and I'm so glad that you all are doing this. And it's such a, I know we're in radio, but I can't wait to see the results, because I know that's going to inform what we're doing, and I assume it's going to be the same for you.
It's going to impact everything that all of us are doing, and really just give us a better sense of the community's needs, where the disparities are, and hopefully, what else we can support and advocate for to strengthen the community.
It is, and I really hope, the way that they've gone about doing it in terms of the planning and now the rollout, and then when we get the final report, which I imagine will be later this year, once they get through all of that data analysis. Hopefully it's a lot. Folks, go and fill out the survey. But I hope that other folks in other states are paying attention to it as well. And that's something that, we want to, as we're going through the data and the process, I just, as a policy nerd, which is my graduate degree background, like, I am so impressed with everything that they're doing there. And so I hope that other states, Illinois, Wisconsin, our neighbors are paying attention to this, because it's something that I think could definitely be done in other states and will be hugely important, particularly as we're seeing the federal government slash hundreds of millions of dollars of LGBTQ research funding I think the last check was 800 million they had already cut, which is going to set us back, a generation in a lot of areas. So folks who are listening to this, head over to Queermunity on Hennepin Avenue. Go online as well. We'll have links on our Blue Sky and on our website for you to take that survey, because it's vitally important right now that our voices are heard. Another event that you all have coming up here, which I'm very curious about, is the BIPOC Soft Space with the Paper Lantern Project. That'll be on Friday, June 20th. Tell me about what this event is going to be like.
Yes. Well, we are really grateful to be in partnership with the Paper Lantern Project. They're an AAPI group that has also featured work from 10 of their members in our gallery last month for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And the work was beautiful, and they just do so much work, a variety of things for the community, both in a creative capacity and in a mutual aid capacity. And to be in partnership with them is a gift for creating this soft space. So we've done it once before with them, and it's really a BIPOC only space where they just have good vibes, good music. And I've never been, because I'm not BIPOC, but I've heard that it's a really special time to build community and be together.
So are they crafting something during that? Like, is that part of the event?
There are a number of different activities, and Paper Lantern Project has hosted a number of different activities at the soft space. I don't know what the specific agenda is. I think that it's come and see what people want and need, and that they have some different options based on who shows up.
Yeah. Can you, for folks who are like, what's a soft space?
It's a place to just be yourself.
Yeah.
It's got a good vibe, good music, a place to be yourself and relax. Just a place to be.
No, yeah, perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you. Another event that you all have coming up on the 22nd of June, which is a Sunday, is the Archive is Alive, Queer Elders in Story. And I loved the title of this. As someone who has scrounged around archives, I'm like, yes, they are alive.
Yes, they're
So
here.
tell us
They
about this
tell us their
event.
stories. Yeah. I'm really excited about this for a number of reasons. First, we are working with Miss Rosanna Hudgens and Frank Turnurka. Pronouncing his last name is hard for me, but Frank and Rosanna are elders in the community, and they have so many stories to share. And we have a couple other special guests too, but those two are kind of our headliners for the Archive is Alive. and they're coming to share their stories of joy, their stories of resistance. They are living legends, and so we wanted an opportunity to listen to them. I feel so fortunate because I actually get to talk with them regularly, and now they're offering this opportunity to the whole community to come and learn from them, hear their stories, hear their inspiration, hear their wisdom, and we get to do that, not just with elders who've passed, but in real life here.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to take this opportunity to share that we have a partnership with Telling Queer History this month. So Telling Queer History has been hosting all kinds of events for the last 11 years, sharing elder stories, current present day stories, like actual physical archives and story archives. And they are sunsetting, and they had their sunsetting celebration here last week, but they have an amazing exhibit that's up at Queermunity for the next 3 weeks. So I'm inviting everybody, please come by anytime 8 to 8 and take a look at this really cool exhibit of Twin Cities queer and trans history. There's an elder.
I've got to fit. We're going to pick it up right there. I got to fit in another quick break. None of this is possible without our generous advertisers and sponsors. Thank them. Tell them you heard about them on The Gaily Show. Stay tuned. Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gaily Show, the only daily LGBTQ progressive radio news and talk show in the United States. I am your host, John Parker. We are just past 33 minutes after the hour. It is our weekly Thinking Clearly, Thinking Queerly episode, where we sit down with a guest for the episode to help us think more clearly on the major issues of the day and more queerly facing the queer and allied community. With me today is Hillary Odie. Hillary is the co-founder of Queermunity in Minneapolis, here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Queermunity is, I love saying this description, so I'm going to say it again. It's so nice, I'm going to say it twice. Queermunity is a vibrant event venue, gathering space, and cafe in Minneapolis dedicated to offering high-quality experiences for LGBTQ plus communities and their allies. Queermunity works with and for the people they serve to build a regenerative economy, maintaining a truly affordable space to gather, celebrate, work, and create while supporting local farmers, artists, makers, and small businesses. I just heard a really loud ding. So it launched last November. They are currently in the starting a 6-week in the midst of first ever Pride season. Hillary, you were talking about before the break, we were talking about the archive is alive, and there's an organization that is currently sunsetting, which I'm sad to hear about. But let's pick it up there.
Yes, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about the exhibit that's up for the next couple weeks, the Telling Queer History exhibit that's here in our library. We have a library section of Queermunity, and they've taken over the whole library and crafting area of Queermunity for this really cool exhibit that just kind of features the work that they've done over the last 11 years.
I think it is so important. I think it's important all the time, but I think even right now, to be having events like the Archive is Alive and this event that you just told us about, there isn't enough intergenerational conversation. I think we easily get segregated in the rainbow between our age brackets, and there's a really I think it's on QWERTY this week, a viral post that an older gay man wrote about how he got tired of the younger gays asking him why he's angry all the time lately, and so he wrote this post and said, "This is why," because and he was having a conversation with a 28-year-old who had asked him that, and he finally had enough. Said, "All right, youngin, we're going to sit down and have this conversation." But I thought it was so, and I'm in an intergenerational relationship, and I'm a professional gay, so I think I know all this stuff, and I am learning all the time things that I was like, oh, huh, that's how we got here, or that's what that was like, or I had no idea about this particular march or protest or law that they were trying to, jam down everybody's throats. And so I love that you are providing that space for structured intergenerational conversations, because I think that there are things that we need to relearn, or for some of us, learn very quickly how to resist and march and protest and advocate for ourselves, because a lot of those skills, when I think about like ACT UP, so much of those skills were lost because we thought, oh, okay, we got gay marriage and we've got PrEP now, we've got PEP, and so we're good to go.
Yeah, no, that's not the case at all, obviously. Yeah, we have a lot we can learn from the older generations. And like, I'm kind of, I'm middle-aged, so I also am learning so much from the young people. And, so one of the things, even from some of the elders that I've talked to, are like, when they come here and they get to be with the younger generations, they can share their life skills and their life lessons, but also just get reinvigorated and get the enthusiasm and the kind of open-mindedness and creativity that youth can bring. I mean, elders bring that too, don't get me wrong, but that's one of the things I get too from being with younger folks. So yeah, we're really excited about the Archive is Alive, which is more of like a panel discussion format, but we're also going to do an intergenerational day of care on the 29th, which is kind of more of a commingling, relaxation, like everybody together, focus on self-care day, which is, it's at the end of the Pride Month. There's going to be a lot of partying. Nothing wrong with that. But also we need to take care of ourselves and have life-affirming interactions that are actually like life-affirming as well, like mind, body, and soul. So we're excited about that intergenerational day of care as well on the 29th. Yeah. I
love that event. And I also loved how you named how the older generation. So I'm in my early 40s. So I'm on that cusp of, I'm an Xer and a millennial, the Zennial, generation, right? And so and I think that when you're talking about learning from the younger generation, coming out is such a radically different thing for folks who are just 10, 15 years younger than we are. Even that concept of like, what is coming out? Like, why did you need to come out? Like, I don't need to come out. I'm just myself. And the fact that that can just happen in junior high, and I'm like, excuse me, you're not in the closet crying, listening to Cyndi Lauper right now? Like, what are you talking about?
Going to the library, checking out all the books, like reading all the books.
I'm sorry, going into the I know that's less so now with all the LGBTQ book bans, but the idea that there are some libraries where you can go in there and you can find lots of books, and it's not about how you're a horrible person or you're a degenerate. Like, excuse me, what? And so there is this, we can talk about, our generation and older, the fights that we had to go through and the fights we had to learn. But right now it's sort of, they get to this, generation Alpha or Z or whichever the ones that came after us, how they're living a completely different life that sometimes it's like we forget. Even myself, I'm like, oh yeah, they're getting to enjoy the stuff that we hoped we would have had. You know what I mean? Like, I would have killed to have Heartstopper, and I can watch it, but I'm watching it through my sort of like my teenage lens, where they're getting to have it as just sort of, this is reality. This is something I wished I could have had.
Yeah, we went to a thing, our family went to a thing last week, and there was name tags, and we're just filling out the name tags, and our middle kid wrote their name, they, them, like, oh, yeah, that's just like a thing now. Everybody's doing their pronouns.
Yeah,
exactly. That's normal. And I, of course, they have us as parents, but also I think that is becoming more just I can't wait to see, how that unfolds for their generation, because there are new stats out. There's a new Gallup poll, officially new Gallup poll that recognizes that 9.3% of the population identifies as part of the LGBTQ plus community. So that means more and more people are, I think, becoming comfortable identifying themselves in those Gallup polls. We know that the number is actually probably a little bit higher, but the official poll is, twice what it was just 10 years ago. That doesn't mean there's twice as many queer and trans people. That just means people are it's becoming, easier for people to self-identify. And we know that the younger generation, some polls are showing like up to 50% in that Gen Z and lower are identifying as part of the community.
Gen Z. I also, what I love about when I talk to people Gen Z and younger, pronouns don't faze them. All of the different identities in the rainbow do not faze them. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like tripping up and like, oh no, there's another letter in the rainbow, which you kind of hear from the, the older LGBTQ folks, where there was huge fights about should the G go first, should the L go first, and you're like, this was a fight. And so when you watch like teenagers today, and they're just so nonplussed about it. They're like, yeah, what's the big deal? It's just like, oh yeah, you can have these conversations and it can be a thing, and you don't need to be, jerks about it. But I love all the generational stuff that you're creating.
Exactly. Yep. Thank you.
Also, speaking of generational stuff, I love this. I literally laughed out loud in a good way. On Sunday, June 22nd, from 4 to 8, you have an LGBTQ plus seniors tea dance.
Yeah. Why did you laugh? Because it's so cute.
I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh. It was a laugh of like recognition and like delight.
Yeah.
Like, what? Delight.
The tea dances. Like, I don't know. Do people have tea dances anymore? That's what,
No.
like, no? Are we really that old, JP?
Maybe.
I went to tea dances when I was young. But no, we have a program here called Aging Alliance. So twice a month we have coffee and conversation for 60 and over, and twice a month we have solo seniors gatherings. So we really wanted to make sure that we heard what our elders were saying, that they just want to dance. They just want to dance. They want a place to dance. So here we're gonna do a tea dance, kind of throwback to. There still has to be tea dances somewhere in P-Town. I know there's tea dances.
I hope there are.
But we're gonna do music of the ages, a little bit of something for everybody from 50 through 80, 90, and just kind of get our boogie on the dance floor.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so that takes us through June, but you've also got something set up for Sunday, July 13th. It's a whole day event, and it's called Quiet Riot, a calm celebration of loud identities. What does that mean? Unpack that event for us.
Yeah. So most Pride events are pretty loud, pretty overstimulating, especially for folks like me who have some sensory sensitivities. I want to choose when it's loud.
Yes,
I don't want loudness put upon me. So I know a lot of other people feel that way too. And, there are not a lot of places that are both like actually physically accessible. So we have a door that we have an ADA, door paddle. We have an elevator. The width of all of our walkways is, wide enough for chairs or other mobility devices. So our space is actually accessible. We have air conditioning, and we're going to try to have a fun celebration that's not like overwhelming, that I know a lot of other places can be overwhelming for different groups. And, there's a huge part of our community that has all kinds of neurodiverse experiences and ways of being. And so we wanted to make sure that there's a space for us to all celebrate and also not get overstimulated at the same time.
Right.
So we're going to have some cool events like a silent disco. So if you want to come, listen to your own music at your own volume, and we're just going to all dance and just be together in celebration and enjoy in a way that feels good for you. We're going to have a lot of really cool vendors doing things like art crafting. We have someone that's bringing their whole class on stones and crystals and the healing power of stones and crystals. So we have someone doing a what's the word? Brain. It's like I don't know. It's a movement. It's a movement exercise. There's a word, and I'm going to think about this specific type of movement. But lots of
Actually, so we're coming up on the end of our time here, so I want to make sure that folks know how to connect with you to find out all about all of these events. So your website is
queermunitymn.com, and
on social
you can
media?
find us on socials at Queermunity on IG, Facebook, and all the socials.
Perfect. And when folks, so there's a variety of bus lines that drop you off right there on Hennepin Avenue. You also have a parking ramp.
We have parking right across the street. So there's many bus lines. We also are right on off of the Greenway for bike riding, which is a good time of year to ride your bike. Just counted validated parking at the 7 Points Garage.
Perfect. Yes, it's 7 Points Garage, not your parking ramp, but it's lovely that you have all those transportation options for folks who want to go there and visit. Thank you, Hillary, for joining us here on The Gailey Show.
Thank you, JP. Thanks, everyone.
So coming up next, I'm going to continue my Queer and the Cosmos essay series. One last break, but lots still to get to here on The Gailey Show. For links to everything about Queermunity, go to our Blue Sky account or go to our website on am950radio.com or heartlandsignal.com. Stay tuned. See you on the flip side. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm your host, John Parker. We're coming up on the top of the hour. I did want to mention AM950 is going to be at Twin Cities Pride at the end of the month, and we're going to have 2 tents, and one of them is going to be set up with seating where you can listen to all of the live shows that we are going to be airing, which there are a lot of live shows, and the Gailey Show will be live on Saturday from 2 to 4 and then on Sunday from 3 to 4. But that second tent, we're going to have a lot of seating, and we're by the roundabout area, which is going to be a cool place to chill out. And you can sit there and listen to the show, but it's gonna be a lot more kind of cool, chill place. So when you're at Twin Cities Pride on Saturday and Sunday, know that is there and available to you. I close out our Thinking Clearly, Thinking Queerly episodes with a weekly essay series called A Queer in the Cosmos, an opportunity to understand queer life through exploration of the cosmos. And here is my latest essay. Light Year 16, Space Orchestra Part 1. Did you play an instrument as a kid? It is kind of strange to me, actually, that music was such a huge part of my life and at such an early age. None of my Armenian cousins in cosmopolitan France played an instrument. Yet in the rural Midwest, I was playing the piano in elementary school. My dad's cousin taught me. And in 5th grade, my class all had to take a music test. Sometime later, afterwards, we were denied recess and corralled into the lunchroom. We were all given a number. I don't remember what my number was, but it was the highest. And a handful of us at a time were being called into an adjoining room to the cafeteria that apparently had musical instruments in it. And this was an opportunity to pick a musical instrument to play the next year in 6th grade if you wanted to do so. The music teachers first called in the kids who had the lowest numbers, and we didn't learn much about what they saw in there, the other kids, because beyond the fact that there were instruments, because once they escaped, they could head off to recess, rather. I kept waiting and waiting, realizing as the hour dragged on that I was going to miss recess entirely. While we waited, we discovered that the numbers given to us were our scores from that music test. And the kids all looked at me sideways. John got the highest score. None of them knew that I played the piano and I was not popular. So the whole thing was suspect. And they also called me gay. So all of that made sense to them. With just a few minutes left in recess, I was finally admitted into the room. They told me I had to hurry because there were only a few minutes left. I was put out. You made me miss recess, and now you're giving me a few minutes to look around when all the kids who had the lowest scores and probably wouldn't even play anything got to have all the time in the world. Yes, I was indignant early in my life. I had planned to play the saxophone anyway because that's what my dad played in his high school marching band before he joined the football team. I never heard him play it once. Instead, he stored it in the attic. But somehow it was known that when it came time for me to play an instrument, I would play the saxophone. So in that room, surrounded by instruments, given only minutes to decide which one to just try out, knowing I was going to play the saxophone anyway, I figured I would have a little fun. I would pick the craziest instrument to play. That would be the violin. The teacher let me hold it, then showed me how to place it on my left shoulder, how to tuck my chin into the chin rest. She showed me the bow and how to hold it, which with my fingers in 5th grade I couldn't quite figure out, so I held onto it as best as I could. She asked me if I knew a particular song, and I wish I remembered what it was. She said that she would place her fingers on the strings to play the notes, and all I had to do was move the bow up and down on the strings to play the music. So we did. And I wish I could remember what the song was because everyone in the room stopped when we started playing to look at us. And the teachers all smiled. And it might as well have been magic. I knew the piano and I was destined for the saxophone, but in that moment, I had picked up the craziest instrument in the room and played a song. And everyone stopped to look and listen. You have a talent for this, the teacher said. She gave me information to take to my parents about the violin and the class I could take next year for free as part of the regular school day, where to buy a violin. I went home raving to my parents about the violin, the violin, the violin. I protested loudly that I just had to play it. My dad was disappointed, one in a long string of disappointments I was destined to bring to him. My mom was angry because her dad played the violin. I did not know this, and she had asked for it after he had passed, but my family had sold it behind her back. Indignant, she raged at them for selling the instrument that she now needed. To their credit, my parents relented. They took the information from the music teacher, they went to the only store in town serving music students, and they purchased me a violin on a payment plan. I was so excited to get it and then disappointed that I couldn't recreate the magic when we got home. I didn't know where my fingers were supposed to go to play the notes in tune. I didn't know how to really hold the bow. I also didn't know that choosing to play the violin made me gay. When I showed up to the first class in 6th grade, I was the only boy. It was the same situation as when I tried out for the class play. I was the only boy who showed up to audition. And like with the play, the orchestra teacher told me she rarely had boys in her class. Of course, the girls ran with this back to the other boys in class, and they all found another reason to call me gay. From that class, then, the violin was sexualized, a queer object. And by holding it, it made me queer somehow. And I was constantly reminded of it for an entire year, all of 6th grade, so that when I made it to the junior high, and there were actually other boys, a handful, and an orchestra of dozens, I assumed they were all gay too. And I remember feeling so angry when they were so clearly not, and somehow they weren't called FAG by anyone, but somehow they all found a way to call me one just because I played the violin. It shouldn't come as a great surprise that I would take the first alien spacecraft off this chunk of space rock the first chance that I get. But I'm calling this essay Space Orchestra Part 1 because I recently discovered the International Space Orchestra, the world's first orchestra of space scientists from the NASA Ames Research Center and the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute and the Singularity University, an orchestra that was founded by a queer woman who was born in my mom's hometown of Valence, France. The International Space Orchestra plays musical performances inspired by spatial missions. They design musical performances using space-unique resources such as mission-related content and technical workforces. They wear Ruby Rock jumpsuits and Converse shoes. Trust me when I say I am super jealous, and I'll tell you why next week in Space Orchestra Part 2. That is all for us today. Up next on WCPT 820 is Choose Views with Richard Chu. On AM 950, it's the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.